Hello, I'm Nobby. Welcome to my workshop. I'm just about to put up my next weekly video for you, which is another episode in the PM Research engine build. I think this is part number 9 now. I wanted to show you the latest sticker I've received for my sticker board here. We've done a sticker exchange with Model Engineering Adventures. This is Andy's channel, and he contacted me through the comments and said, could he have my details so he could send me a sticker, and in return I've sent him one of mine as well. But the sticker came in a really nice card. Andy's wife Michelle is an artist. She has her own YouTube channel and a website as well, and she obviously turns a lot of her paintings into really nice cards. So the sticker, or he sent me 2 stickers, so they're included inside the card. He sent me a little message here as well, which is really nice. Andy's got a really nice YouTube channel. He's obviously very much into building Stuart engines. And the one he's working on at the moment is the Twin Victoria. He's got quite a few episodes into that one already. The previous one was a fascinating series to watch, and a really beautiful engine. That was the Stuart triple compound engine. And I think prior to that he made the Stuart S50. A very, very interesting channel. If you're not familiar with it, do give the channel a look, and obviously subscribe to his channel and follow along like I'm doing. It's got a very, very nice workshop. I think the workshop is in a garage, but he does have a like me, a Myford lathe, but a very nice Myford lathe. It's the Myford Connoisseur lathe, which is absolutely beautiful, fabulous machine, and obviously has a milling machine. Not sure what the make of the milling machine is, but he's doing some really wonderful work in his workshop. The engines he's building, to me, are very, very complex engines to build, far more complex than the one I'm working on at the moment, and I'm not really sure I would have his skills at building engines like this. But anyway, here's the sticker I'm going to put on the board. I've already folded that bit back because sometimes I struggle a bit with these stickers. So Andy, I'm going to try and get your sticker on nice and square onto the board. I'm going to put you next to Mark Pressling there. I'm sure you're familiar with him as well. See if I can get it on nice and straight. Well, it's reasonably straight anyway. This is me, I'm afraid. So there you are, Andy, you're up on the board. I've gained a few. I haven't received any other stickers recently. Perhaps if there's anyone out there would like one of my stickers, perhaps want to do an exchange, let me know. My details are in the on my YouTube channel. My email address is there if you want to contact me. So there we are. So now going to move on to my next video. I'm already quite a number of parts of this video ahead already, so I've got a lot of videos already made beyond part 9 to show you, which is going to be helpful because the weather is very cold, and it's very cold in my workshop at the moment. I think at the moment it's only about 6 degrees in the workshop, so I've come out here this morning just to record this, but I think it's going to be a little bit too cold for me to stay in the workshop today, but I hope you'll follow along. So I've got enough videos to last probably up beyond Christmas, I think. So I hope you'll stick with it and stick around to watch that. So I'll say cheers for an hour, and I hope you enjoy my weekly video. Bye bye for now. Hello, I'm Nobby. Welcome to my workshop. The next part I've decided to machine is the Flywheel. It's for the PM Research engine. A difficult part, believe it or not, but difficult to actually to set up in a chuck. I tried all different ways to do it, setting it up in the 3-jaw chuck, trying to use the outside edge of the boss on either side, but of course this has pattern draft in it, and it's very, very difficult to grip it on here. But in the end I gave up on that idea. There is a big problem with this flywheel. Like a number of parts of this kit, the castings, all they're beautiful things made out of bronze. They, to be honest, are not very well made. The pattern for the flywheel, I'm sure, is made as patterns are normally made, in 2 halves, so that they can be set up in sand casting in the cope and drags in the normal way. But what I've discovered is that I think the 2 halves of the pattern were not aligned properly. So if you, I don't know if you can see, so I'll try and bring this in closer. I think you will be able to see actually. Let me try and find something to point with. Well, I'm not going to use my finger. If you look in where the spokes are, you can see there's an overlap here in the outside rim. There's an overlap here and here, and on this one as well. So these parts are not aligned properly, and what I discovered was that the boss on each side are not aligned properly to one another. So I gave up on trying to set this up in a 3-jaw chuck. It was just not going to work. So the only alternative was to grip it on the outside of the flywheel here, and you can see how far out it is. You can imagine that there's a pretty bad overlap, really. So I've got to obviously allow for that and correct that in some way. So the only way I can think of doing it is the 4-jaw chuck, and just trying to align one side. So I'm working with this boss. You see, I've marked a little X on here in Sharpie, because I think that side is the better side. And I did take some measurements from the edge of the boss to the edge of the flywheel all the way round, and it's in reasonable alignment. Obviously, also you've got to take into account the rough finish of the casting as well. So I've set it up, and I've used this gauge here. Let's bring that back again. Bear with. Alright, so I've used this gauge. In fact, I've only had this gauge a few days. Just received this just literally a few days ago. It's very nice. It's a verdict gauge. It measures to 1/2 thousandths, but it has a lovely big dial on it. Perfect for my poor near eyesight. The dial's up 1 3/4 inches across, so it's nice and easy to read off. And I've been playing with this for I think trying to set this up, I've been struggling with this for about 2 hours, but I've spent about the last half hour trying to get this aligned as best as I possibly can. I don't know that you'll be able to see you might just about see it, that the needle is dancing around all over the place. partly because of the roughness of the casting, but I think I'm going to have to accept that this is about the best I can get it. I've also run this dial gauge against the outside as well, and on the outside edge here it's similar to the inner boss. I used another gauge, which is this one. You may have seen this being used before. This fits into the tool post, and I've also clocked this one against this surface here, and that's reasonable as well. So this is the only way I can think of doing it. So what I'm going to do is use this, the basis, to machine this side. So I'm going to face off the boss here, and even up the outer edge of the boss, clean up this face here. I can't make my mind up whether at this stage whether I should just face off one half of the outside, because what I thought of doing, if I can get this faced off so this is square to the spokes, is to try and hold the boss, this boss, in a 3-jaw chuck, which, using the inside jaws, should be quite accurate. I found that chuck's quite an accurate one on the Myford lathe, and then machine the other side facing the same things off, and then machining this surface here. But I think initially I'll have a go at facing these parts off, just to get all that bit, all this side cleaned up apart from the outside rim. I haven't yet cleaned up the inner spokes. I'm going to do that afterwards. I think it's going to need quite a bit of filing to try and even up the discrepancy in the way the part was actually cast. Bit of a shame really, because I've had other flywheels and other kit that I bought. The flywheel was really good. It didn't need any attention like this at all. And the other thing I think that is wrong with this flywheel, when they made this, what they should have done was either bring the bosses out longer, or have a part sort of coming out from here to give you something to hold in the chuck. Whether that was going to work if they got the two parts not aligned properly, the ideal thing would have been to have done that, giving you something to mount in the chuck, but actually taking much better care with the pattern. Because I've never done any casting myself, but when I've seen patterns made, the two halves are normally on the, if you like, the inside surface, which would be in here, are usually pinned so that the two parts will align correctly. That would have been the perfect way, because these kits are probably made in very, very large numbers, and I guess that I don't know whether I'm just unlucky with this particular flywheel or whether they're all as bad as this one, really. Anyway, I'm going to get on and do a bit of machining. I'm sorry it takes such a long time to explain all of this, but you can, I guess, understand the problems I've had setting this part up. And I think I've now got it as good as I'm ever going to get it, to be honest. Anyway, I'll bring you back while I perhaps machine a bit of this, just to show you some of that as well. Okay, well, I've set the camera up as best as I can, so I hope you can see roughly what I'm doing. So first stage is going to be I'm going to face off the boss here. This obviously eventually will have a 1/4 inch reamed hole in the centre, and I want to then machine this surface here square to that surface, so that I've got something more positive to grip on here. I'm also going to sort of machine this surface off as well. I think once I've done that, then I'll have to have a bit of a think about it on how I'm going to proceed. What I probably won't do is face this part right down to give you a sort of a square edge here. I think the best thing is just to face that off, just to give it a neat surface. Obviously we'll have a bit of a round part here, which I don't think that's going to matter at all, but I think important to machine that part in. Because one engine that I saw built, there was a comment that from somebody that had been given the engine to have a look at. When the engine was running, although the flywheel looked as though it was running quite nicely, which I think it probably was, taking into account the outside surface here, but because this part had not been machined at all, it looked sort of completely off centre. So I think I want this to look run as though it's running true when I eventually get the engine finished. So I think if I just face that until I've cleaned it up so that it's just slightly larger than a 1/4 inch area across here, and then machine this part off as well. So there's the next stage. What I'm going to make sure I do is I've turned the tool round a little bit more so that I'm clear of all these parts of the chuck here. I've got to be really careful that nothing hits the tool. It looks like I'm okay there. Let's see how we get on with this. Let's see how that looks with I've got every part. It looks as though it's cleaned up nicely all the way round there, as best as I can see. I might just take a little bit more off. Well, I think that's going to be okay. Of course, I've got just a little round edge here, but I don't think that's going to be a problem at all when the engine's running. Hopefully this is going to look as though it's running nice and true. I think I may need to just take that in a little bit more. There's a slight, very, very slight edge there. I'll try and get that cleaned up a little bit more if I can. Right, I think that's going to leave well enough alone now. But what I can do is come out here and just clean that face off as well. So I think I'm quite happy with that. What I'm going to do is measure the diameter here very carefully to give me a guide when I machine the other side. And as I mentioned, that this boss and the boss on the other side here don't appear to line up properly, so I'm hoping that there's enough leeway in the boss on the other side that it will machine up to the same diameter as this. I suppose if it doesn't, there's nothing much I can do about that. At the end of the day, one of these bosses is going to be hidden anyway on the sort of inside of the engine, so probably not much more I can do about that. But anyway, let's bring the tool out to here, and I'll clean that surface up there as well. And that looks, oh no, there's a bit of I'll try and clean up a bit more. There's some inclusions there, so I'll try and get those out so I get a nice smooth surface there. Yeah, they've gone. Let's clean them up. So the only other thing I think to do is, obviously I've ended up with a very sharp edge here, so I need to clean that up. But what I've done in the past is I've used a chamfering tool, and the trick I learned is that if you put this in the tool in the tool post and raise it up slightly, so that you're cutting slightly higher up than the centre point here, then there's no danger of this part of the cutting tool rubbing on the surface. So if you just raise that up slightly, it will clear probably up to about here, and that will take that sharp edge off. So I'll set up and just do that next, because that surface is actually razor sharp. Right, I've put the chamfering tool in, and I've raised it up so you can see it's quite a bit above the if I bring that right in, you can see it's quite a long way above the centre height of the chuck itself. So bring that back out again. Obviously sort of carefully checking that I've got good clearance all round. Now I can bring that in. I've actually just tested it already. Just bring that in so I can get a decent edge here, so I've got no sort of razor sharp corner on that. That's it. That looks good. So it's not too bad at all, actually. Won't bother with that edge because that's going to be machined across eventually anyway. So I think really that's probably all I'm going to do, because I don't want to clean up the spokes too much. Obviously these the surfaces that you can see here have got all the sort of rough finish to them, but then that'll look nice when it's painted. But I will file in here. I'll probably do that later, just file around those just to try and even this out a little bit. I have to do it very, very carefully, but the overlap's quite bad. I've brought the camera in a bit closer so you can see slightly better what I'm talking about. But you can see in here the misalignment you've got in here. I don't know whether you can see it anywhere else as easy. Yeah, you can see it here as well. So it's quite bad, really, I think. You can also see it on the outer rim, but you have to look at it from the other side, really. But there we are. Just have to sort of take things as they are, really. Nothing you can do about it. Anyway, I think I can set things up now and machine the reverse side and machine this surface as well now. So bring you back for all of that lot. Right, well, I've switched chucks round. I've now got my Myford 3-jaw chuck in, and the way I've set this up is to I'm gripping it on the boss on the other side, on the outside bit, which is squared off now, to hold it in position and keep it square. I've put a bar in the tailstock chuck, and I brought that up against the boss and then tightened it down, so that's holding it in position while I tightened up the jaws. So I'm hoping that's all going to be okay. So I've done that as the first stage. I've also spun the chuck round by hand, sort of looking between the face of the jaw and the back face here, and it looks like an even gap all the way around. But what I also did was put my clock gauge in, and run that round the outer rim. Actually, I'll bring that out so you can actually see it. Hang on. And it's not too bad. I'll get that to stay in place. So I've run the clock gauge in, zeroed that up, and then just revolve the chuck round. The needle is bouncing a bit, but it looks like within 0.02, which I think is going to be okay, because you've got to bear in mind again the rough surface here as well. I did also take it into the facing edge of the boss, and as a just to sort of check again and run it round on that. And apart from the odd bounce where I think it's hitting something uneven, it's within thousandths basically, so I think that's going to be okay. So I can go ahead now. I'm grateful that there is a little bit of a gap here, so that I can face this surface off without hitting the tool against the face of the jaw here. So that's the next job. So again, I'm just going to take the minimal amounts off here. Let's run that up and see how it looks. Looking at the boss in the centre, it does look to be running, quite a long way out. I think what I need to do is just do a quick check on that surface in there, because I don't particularly want to have to machine that as well. So bear with me a moment while I just try and make a measurement around here. Well, not good news particularly. I've run a clock gauge against this half of the casting, and it's reasonable. It's reasonable as it was when I measured it when I was facing this side off, but this side is way out. There's a big discrepancy between the bosses on each side. There's a pretty bad overlap really, so I'm just going to have to try and true up the boss in the centre, and true up the outside. But running this, it is also, this surface here is way out as well. So I think what I'm going to have to do is machine the boss, this outer surface here, and that inner surface there as well. I can't think of any other way of approaching it. And then when I mount this on the machine, I'll just have to, well, when I assemble this onto the machine, I'll just have to pick out the best looking side to face outwards. I can't really think of any other way of getting around it. It's a shame this casting is so bad. Problem is that the kit is made in America, so I can't really get another Flywheel difference. If this had been a Stewart kit and there was a fault with the Flywheel, I could just contact them and I'm sure they'd give me an exchange one. Although I can't imagine that theirs would ever be as bad as this. So I'm going to plough on with this. I'm going to just do this off camera because I'm finding this rather upsetting. So I think I'll do this off camera and then bring you back and sort of show you the end result when I've done it. Anyway, I'll just sign off for the time being, and I'll bring you back later on. Well, it's the next day in the workshop, and I've done a lot more work on the Flywheel now. I'm sorry in the previous bit that I moaned so much about the general condition of the Flywheel, but it got to me a bit. It was really so much out of alignment. But what I've done since, on obviously the opposite side of the Flywheel, I've already machined this front side, which looks quite nice. But running the Flywheel, you could see it was so far off balance that what I really wanted to do was to true it all up, just to make it look as though it was running correctly. So as with the other side, I faced off here. It's quite straightforward, and then I machined this part around the boss. I had to take quite a lot off because this was so far out of alignment with the other side. what I'll do later is I'll measure the diameter here to see how much out it actually was. Now, of course, running it, I found that the edge of the flywheel obviously was also running quite out of true. I'd faced off this front part here, so I had to use a boring bar to machine this, basically just to a point of cleaning it up. And I've also faced off the outside of the flywheel. We've got quite a nice finish. I have to say that bronze does machine very nicely. It looks really nice, but again, there's quite a lot to machine off the outside of the flywheel, because as the two sides I mentioned were so out of sync with one another. I'll run the lathe slowly so you can see that it's perhaps, if not perfect, it is running a lot better now. I mean, you get a bit distracted by the inner part. This part is running okay, obviously the outside and the boss, but you can see that the distraction of this inner part here and the spokes. So I think this side will probably be the, if you like, the inside of the flywheel, and the side I machine first will be the outside, which, you know, the part you're going to see the most. So anyway, next thing is to drill and ream the centre here. That needs to be reamed to 1/4 of an inch. I've examined this as best I can, because obviously where I have faced across there, you have got obviously a centre position, and that does appear to be okay, so I'm hoping there are going to be no problems here at all. So let's get that set up and drill that hole. Right, centre drill first. I'm going to drill with a smaller drill first, and then go in with the correct drill size for reaming. Right, going with the correct drill size for the reamer. And next the reamer. I've turned the lathe speed down as well now. Well, that's it. So let's hope that's all been successful. It looks okay, but there's no guarantee, is it? Brush off. Just going to run that, see how true it looks. Well, it certainly looks okay, so I'm hoping all is going to be well. There's still one other job to do, is to drill a hole and tap the hole in at a slight angle into the boss here to take a grub screw so it can be locked onto the shaft of the engine. So that will be something I'll set up later and get that set up. I think it's only at a very, very slight angle. Obviously there's not it's got to be at an angle because there's no way of drilling down straight into it, so it's got to be set at an angle. I've got to sort of check and make sure that the drill's going to be okay, make sure that the tap, the angle it gives the tap's got enough clearance to get round the rim here. But there we are, that's it basically. Remove that from the chuck. So that certainly sort of looks okay. Obviously the rim on this side is going to be thinner from the other side. You know, this side all seemed to work out quite nicely. Yeah, I think that's going to be okay. So I'm going to have this side as the side, if you like, facing out, because that side probably looks the nicest, and seemed to look a lot truer when I machined all of this, and keep the other side as the sort of inside. So obviously I mentioned that I had to machine this part with a boring bar to true it up, but not this side. This side is still left with the original finish, which I'm not going to machine that down. I'm going to leave that as it is, because that's the side that mostly you're going to see, and inside here and all the spokes and everything will actually be painted. So I think that's it basically. I might bring you back for the point where I drill and tap the hole for the grub screw. Perhaps bring you back for that part as well, although it's not that interesting to look at. Bear with me a moment. What I'll do, when I'd machined this side, I did take a measurement of the boss, hoping that I would be able to get this side exactly the same, but believe me, this was so far out that even taking that surface in there down to just to clean it up, I machined quite a lot off. So bear with me a moment, and I'll try and give you the difference in those diameters. Well, I measured up the difference in the diameter of the boss. I suppose it's not too bad. I suppose the outside here measured 0.466, and this side is minus 0.16, so it's 16 thousandths smaller. That's it. The shaft fits nicely in. It's a really nice fit actually, and that does seem to spin very nicely as well. So I'm a bit happier now. After sort of yesterday doing all the examination of this, I was slightly fed up with it really. But anyway, I think, you know, I'm hoping it will look nice. So that will be the side that you're going to see when if and when the machine runs all right, or the engine rather. So there we are. So that's it basically. I'll probably I may show you drilling the for the little grub screw, but what I'll probably do is tack that on to the next episode of this build really, which is probably going to include making a couple of other parts for it. There's a couple of sort of major parts to make before I start on the cylinder and piston. I don't quite know what to do about cleaning up the spokes on this. Problem is to get the this overlap out. It is going to mean filing that quite flat on there, whether that's going to really spoil the appearance, I don't know. So I think what I'm going to do, as there's only tiny amounts of sort of ragged edge which I'm going to remove, minimal amount of filing. When the engine's completely finished, I won't paint this until the engine's completed. I'll show it then, and then I'll get everyone's opinion on what they think, whether I should just leave well enough alone and not try and overdo the machining of the spokes on this, which my inclination is to do that basically. But let's leave that right to the very end of the build and see how it all looks, and then we can there can be that sort of little recap on that. Anyway, that's it from me. Thanks very, very much for joining me in the workshop, and all your support to the channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. And if you've got any comments, you know, do send a comment to me. It doesn't have to be relating to this, anything at all really. Just very, very pleased to hear from anyone. Well, that's it from me. Bye for now. Bye bye.